After crushing your body paragraphs with true, majestic AP synthesis, is your next move to write, "In conclusion, there are many perspectives on this issue and we should consider them all carefully"? Do you know, deep down, that your simple summary conclusions are absolutely cooked, but you don't know what else to do, so you keep writing the same boring conclusions over and over and over? Hi, I'm Dr. Clay Zuba, inventor of Zubafy. I've read thousands of AP synthesis essays, and most writers treat conclusions like they're checking out of a hotel. They just drop the key and leave. But the conclusion isn't an ending. It's the last impression you're going to make on the person scoring your AP essay, and you don't want to give them the impression that you don't know how to write a conclusion. If you watch this video to the end, you'll be able to write 3 types of conclusions that actually elevate your argument and show sophisticated thinking. Now, let's learn how to write conclusions that slap. Yes. Welcome to part 5 of the AP Synthesis Mastery Series, the final piece. Since you've watched videos 1 through 4, you've already decoded prompts, analyzed sources strategically, written problem solution introductions, and created body paragraphs that actually synthesize and truck it. Now it's time for the finale, the conclusion that clinches everything. Most writers think that the conclusion has one job, simply to recap your argument. But if this were the case, why would we need a conclusion in the first place? The reader just read your argument, right? They don't need you to summarize it. You need to add and expand, not repeat. In a way, it's actually true that your conclusion has one job. It's just not the job that you think it is. The conclusion's job is to move from the answer to the problem that you argued for in your synthesis essay to its broader importance. See, it's not about repeating your ideas. It's about elevating them. Think about it this way. Your introduction is in some ways like the mouth of a stream. It starts wide with a problem, and as you reach the end, it narrows to your specific thesis. Your conclusion does the opposite. It's an outroduction that starts with your proven thesis and broadens back out to show why it matters. It takes readers out of the abstract world of your essay and into the real world they live in, so they can see how it affects the world around them and even their daily lives. In the synthesis essay specifically, your conclusion proves you understand the broader conversation these sources are a part of. You're not just summarizing what your sources said. You're showing what their conversation means for the real world. Remember the arc of an essay that I've described to you in earlier videos. First is the introduction. This part of the essay describes your problem and it provides an answer. That's your thesis. Next is the body. This is proof of your answer using evidence from the sources and explanation in your own thinking that shows how the sources support your topic sentences. And the conclusion, this is the part that moves from answer, which is what your whole paper has been doing so far, to importance. Viewed from this perspective, your conclusion completes the reader's intellectual journey. It says, now that I've proven my thesis with source evidence, here's why it matters beyond this essay. Now, obviously conclusions come in many different shapes and sizes, but based on my years scoring the AP, I've noticed that 3 conclusion types consistently work for synthesis. Let's call them 1, the significance conclusion, 2, the synthesis conclusion, and 3, the call to action conclusion. Type 1, the significance conclusion. This broadens your specific argument to show wider implications. Perfect for the extent to which or value of prompts because it naturally shows the bigger picture. Here's an example preview. Space privatization debate reflects broader challenges about governing emerging technologies, ... Type 2 is the synthesis summary. This is not just restating though. It's showing how all sources ultimately converge toward a pattern or solution. This is good when you have complex arguments with multiple factors. Here's a preview. Through examining these sources, a clear pattern emerges about the relationship between innovation and regulation. Type 3 is the call to action conclusion. This projects forward to what should happen next based on your proven argument. This works great with policy-focused prompts. Here's an example preview. The evidence demands immediate policy innovation before market forces make regulation impossible, ... Hey, wait a second. Do you feel like you're learning right now? Am I helping you learn how to write synthesis conclusions? What? That is totally what I was trying to do. You should drop a like and you should subscribe. That way you and others like you can continue to learn from Zubafy. Yes. Now, No matter which type of conclusion you choose, every strong synthesis conclusion follows this structure. One is the transition plus the modified thesis. This is one sentence. This is not word-for-word repetition. It's restating it, showing it now that it's proven. Two is the synthesis statement. This part of the conclusion shows how your sources ultimately relate or converge or diverge. Part 3 is broader significance. This connects to real-world implications beyond the prompt. And 4 is the clincher. This is your final thought that resonates. This is your mic drop moment. You want to end with something that makes the readers think and wonder. That's it. 4 components. 3 to 5 minutes to write. Let's see what it looks like with our space exploration prompt. Let me show you 3 levels of conclusions, then multiple clocked examples using the different types. Here's a cooked conclusion. In conclusion, space privatization has both benefits and risks. Sources show different perspectives on this issue. Some sources support it, while others were concerned. We should consider both sides carefully. This is an important topic for the rest of humanity. This is cooked because its sources just show different perspectives. Important topic? That equals empty words. And it could literally apply to any synthesis prompt, except for maybe part of that first sentence. Pro tip, if you're thinking of starting your conclusion paragraph with in conclusion, it's probably on the wrong track, because your readers should know that this is the conclusion without you having to say in conclusion. Here's a better conclusion. While privatized space exploration offers clear economic benefits through innovation and cost reduction, it requires government oversight to ensure safety standards. The sources reveal that purely private or purely public models both have significant limitations. As space becomes increasingly commercialized, finding the right regulatory balance will determine whether humanity's expansion beyond Earth is both profitable and sustainable for future generations. This is better because it restates the thesis with confidence. It shows source relationship. It points to specific future implications, and it's actually about space exploration. But it's still pretty bland and vague. You want to be exciting and specific. Here are 3 clocked examples, one for each type of conclusion. Here is a clocked Type 1 significance conclusion. The tension between innovation and regulation in space privatization ultimately reflects a broader challenge facing 21st century governments: how to harness market forces for public good without sacrificing safety or equity. McCarthy's congressional advocacy for commercial partnerships and Pappalardo's documentation of SpaceX's massive infrastructure investments demonstrate that private companies have revolutionized access to space, yet Al Rodin's safety warnings and the FAA's pricing data reveal concerning gaps in oversight and accessibility. The regulatory framework we establish for space exploration today will set precedents for how humanity governs other emerging technologies, from artificial intelligence to genetic engineering, where private innovation races ahead of public policy. Here is why this Type 1 significance conclusion clocks. It connects to broader government challenges. It names specific sources showing synthesis. It makes sophisticated comparison to other technologies, and it shows an understanding beyond the immediate topic. Let's look at a clocked Type 2 synthesis summary conclusion. Through examining these sources, a clear pattern emerges. The debate isn't whether to privatize space exploration, but how to structure partnerships that leverage private efficiency while maintaining public accountability. McCarthy's congressional testimony about job creation, Schwartz's documentation of billionaire investors, and Pappalardo's analysis of SpaceX's expansion all demonstrate privatization's economic viability, while Al Rodin's safety concerns and the cartoon's accessibility critique reveal the need for protective frameworks. This convergence suggests that the future of space exploration lies not in choosing between public or private control, but in designing sophisticated hybrid models that harness the strengths while mitigating each system's weaknesses. This one clocks because it shows the sources converging on a solution, it demonstrates deep synthesis understanding, it reframes the entire debate sophisticatedly, and it names authors, showing command of the sources. Finally, here is a clocked Type 3 call to action conclusion. The evidence demands immediate regulatory innovation. With private space companies now controlling the majority of orbital launches and billionaire-funded ventures operating with minimal oversight, policymakers cannot afford to let space privatization evolve through market forces alone. While McCarthy celebrates the economic transformation and Pappalardo documents the infrastructure boom, Al Rodin's accident analysis and the cartoon's accessibility critique reveal that Unchecked privatization risks create a space industry accessible only to the wealthy and accountable to no one. The choice facing lawmakers is not whether to regulate private space ventures, but whether they'll create comprehensive safety and equity frameworks. Now, while meaningful intervention is still possible, or wait until catastrophic failures and market consolidation make effective regulation policy politically and economically impossible. This one clocks because it creates urgency with specific evidence. It makes a sophisticated policy argument, it projects specific consequences of an action, and it shows an understanding of regulatory timing and feasibility. Now I've given you 3 clocked examples so you have something concrete and specific to model your writing on. But remember, these are just structures or containers for your own ideas, not the ideas themselves. The actual content and narrative will flow and change depending on the synthesis you're doing, the type of prompt, and your argument. You now have everything you need to write synthesis essays that absolutely cook. Remember, your conclusion is your last impression. It's not simply a summary of your essay. It's your outroduction that moves from textual analysis to real-world importance. If you watched all 5 videos on writing the AP synthesis essay, you can now see how they work together. Video 1, decode prompts. Video 2, analyze the sources strategically. Video 3, write problem-solution intros. Video 4, synthesize in body paragraphs. And finally, Video 5, which you just watched, conclude with significance. Practice these strategies now, before test day. Drop practice conclusion in the comments below. I'll tell you if they're cooked, better, or clocked. And remember to like and subscribe for more AP laying strategies that'll help you truck it on test day. Yes. Thanks for watching Zubafy. Come back for more Zubafy.